How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch lived up just north of Whoville did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps the shoes were too tight. But I think that just mostly the reason of who of all may have been that just heart of 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Who's starting down from the cave with a sour, grinchy frown. At the warm light windows below in their town, for he knew every Who down the Whoville breathed beneath, was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And just hanging their stockings, he snarled with sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find a way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew. And the Who girls and boys would bright and early and rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise. Oh, the noise. That's one thing he hated. The noise. Then the Who's young and old would sit down to a fest, and they fest, feast, maybe. They feast on who pudding and a rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand the least. And then they do something that he liked the least of all. Every Who down Whoville, a tall, small, who stand close together with Christmas bells ringing, and they stand hand to hand, and the Who's would start singing. They sing, and they sing, and they'd sing. And the more the Grinch thought of the Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop the whole thing. Why the 53 years I've put up with it now? I must stop Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed with his throat. He made a quick Santa Claus hat and coat, and he cluckled. What a great Grinchy's trick, with what this coat and hat just look like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since the reindeer are ours, there are none to be found. Did that stop the Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took a red thread and tied a big horn on top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some empty sacks on the ramshackle sleigh. He hitched up to an old Max. Then the Grinch said, "Gippity-yap." The sleigh started down towards the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark. Quiet snow filled up with the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without a care. Then he came to the first little house in the square. "This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed. And the climb of the roof emptied bags at his first. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but Santa could not do it. Then he could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace, flew where the little Who stockings all hung in row. "The stockings," he grinned, "are the first thing to go." Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant. Around the whole room he took every present: pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, skeeter boards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums, and stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox, where he took Who's fests. He took the Who's pudding, he took the roast beast, and he cleaned out the icebox as quick as flash. Why, the Grinch even took their last can of Who washed. Then he stuffed the food in the chimney with glee. "And now," grinned the Grinch, "I will stuff up the tree." The Grinch grabbed the tree and started to shove when he heard a small sound like a coo of dove. He turned around fast. He saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou Who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by the tiny Who daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why are you taking the Christmas tree? Why?" But who knew the old Grinch was so smart and slick? He thought up a lie. He thought it up so quick. Why, my sweet little tot?" fake Santa Claus lied. "There's a light on the tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there. I'll bring it back here." And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her on the head and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed up the tree. The last thing he took was a log of their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, an old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks on some wires, and one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving them crumbs too small for the Who's mouses. It was a quarter past dawn, and all the Who's still in bed, all the Who's still a snooze. When he packed up his sleigh, packed it up with their presents and ribbons of wrapping the tags and the tinsel, the trembling and trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mountain Crumpet, he rode with all his loads to the tip top and dump it. Pooh-hoo to the Who's. He was grinchily humming. They're finding out now, and no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just that thing to do. Their mouths will open a minute or two. Then the Who's down the Who'sville will all cry boo-hoo. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch. That I simply must hear. So he paused. The Grinch put his hand on his ear, and he did not hear a sound rising over the snow. I started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so. It was so merry very. He stared down at the Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or another, it came just the same. The Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice in the snow, stood puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages or boxes or bags. He puzzled 3 hours, till he puzzled sore. Then the Grinch thought something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And then what happened? Well, Whoville say something. They say the Grinch's smaller heart grew 3 sizes a day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, the whistle of his loaded through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food fest, and he himself, the Grinch, craved the roast beef best. The end.